Information provided is for illustrated purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Indices are unmanaged and do not allow for direct investment. Past performance cannot guarantee future results. The host of this show, nor Grandview Asset Management, accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to Investing for Eternity. I'm here with my co-host, Bruce Smith, the real Bruce Smith.
I'm here. I'm back.
You're back from vacation. Thank God.
Yeah.
And you had a great time.
Beautiful out in Phoenix, Arizona.
A little hot, wasn't it?
Well, temperature-wise, it was 85, but, they had that no humidity. But overall, it was very comfortable.
Nice and sunny.
Oh, very sunny. You got to have sunglasses out there.
We've been having pretty warm weather here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we've been in the 60s.
Surprisingly. And we're also here with Mary Kate. We call her MK.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, MK, how are you doing?
Good.
So, Bruce, we missed you last week.
Oh, well, that's always nice.
We missed you. No doubt about it. Let's do a shout-out. I'd like to do a shout-out to Ellen Kuroda. She's a new client, Bruce, that just came on board this week. While you were away.
Okay.
And she's a nurse. I still call it Holy Spirit. I don't know what you call it. I just have a hard time saying it's Penn State when it's always been Holy Spirit Hospital to me.
Yeah, I would still call it Holy Spirit.
Right? I think you're kind of used to that growing up in this area. It's always going to be Holy Spirit.
Well, it's this restaurant in Hershey I grew up with was DeAngelis. We used to, as kids, we called it DA's, and for the longest time we called it DA's. Now it's Fenices. So, but I still call it DA's. I just can't shake that name that I grew up with.
Is that the one right on Chocolate Avenue?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. So anyways, week in review. The market had some trouble this past week on a couple of days, and it all revolves around inflation. We've talked about inflation on this show. Inflation we're starting to see it. I think the Wall Street Journal said that inflation was up to 6.62% or something.
Yeah, I got some more details on all the inflation. The year over year was right now 6.2%.
6.2. That's
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
6.2. And that's pretty hot. I don't think it's going to be transitory. I don't think it's going to be short term. I think inflation is here to stay. I don't think it's the 1982 inflation where rates go to 12%. I don't think that's going to occur.
Well,
but
that CPI number came out, which is a consumer price index. And it was hot, but what shouldn't have been a surprise to the market, and the market went down for a couple days.
Well, we saw people getting into Bitcoin and then getting out of Bitcoin, getting into gold and silver a little bit with this inflation number. So gold and silver was up a tad, right?
Yeah.
So we haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, one thing we haven't talked about, I got to take a closer look at it maybe for the next show, is the yield curve itself. We've always used to talk about the flattening of the yield curve.
Or the inverted yield curve.
Or the inverted yield curve. But right now, it's more flat with the 10-year, because the 10-year Treasury didn't really move on this inflation number.
Gold and silver did, but the Treasury numbers didn't move. And, the 10-year yield, Bruce, last week was at 1.58. This past week is 1.55. So it dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
It does not. And I think the reaction by the market didn't make sense either. There was other side stories going on. The infrastructure bill was passed. Now Biden wants to spend more money, billions, to help modernize our ports and help the supply chain.
That's going to take 10 years. We need help now.
Yeah.
We have ships off the coast of California, right?
I hear it's getting larger, the number of ships off the Los Angeles port.
The wage inflation that we're starting to see, people are getting paid more money, but that will be eaten up, Bruce, if by the inflation in the products that you buy. Mm-hmm. So even if people are making more per hour, they're still going to be spending more on their grocery bill, on their gas bill, on the utility bill. So the wage inflation that we're starting to see in the United States is going to be eaten up by inflation.
Yeah, you jumped ahead. I have a note exactly to that point.
Oh, really?
Under
I didn't read it.
Economic and markets, the real average hourly earnings when accounting for inflation, this last number came out, actually decreased 0.5% for the month. A 0.9% inflation increase negated a 0.4% rise in earnings. So your wages aren't keeping up with
the rate of inflation.
That's right.
And people that are making 1.1 or 0.2 or 0.3% in CDs, money markets, and banks are losing money now.
Oh,
Because in order to keep up with the rate of inflation, you'd have to make more than 6.2%, right?
Yeah.
Just to keep up with inflation.
Yeah, and you can't do that in the bond market or in a CD or you have to go outside. Maybe for some people, their norm, their comfort zone for investing.
People who are listening to this show that have 401ks or money invested in mutual funds that have bond exposure, as interest rates go up in 2022, are going to get hurt. They're going to lose money in their bond portfolios.
Yeah, and now after this last the CPI number, they're looking. I'm saying the markets analysts believe the Federal Reserve is behind the curve. They're in combating inflation, and you'll probably see a rate increase as early as maybe May or June of next year.
I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Fed to raise interest rates in the first couple of months.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Biden said it's now a top priority for him, inflation.
Well, he's a little too late.
Well, it's a good soundbite, Bill. I mean, see, I'm with you. I hear your pain. You know, he's trying to connect with America.
Well, we were talking the other day about his approval ratings. Biden's approval ratings are down to 38.
Yep.
And Kamala Harris approval ratings down to 28%.
Boy,
pretty low.
Oh boy, she is getting down into the basement.
Who's going to be? I heard. Have you heard about this David White out of? He
was out of the suburb of Philadelphia, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's running for governor.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's pro-life. He's started out as a pipe fitter, started his own company, and he's putting his own money into his campaign. It sounds like he might be the front runner over Lou Barletta, Charlie Giroux, and a couple other Republicans that are out there. David White might be the knight in shining armor for the Republican Party when it comes to running for governor.
The Republicans really need some help in the candidates, the type of candidates.
Well, we were talking to R.J. Harris from WHP the other day, and he said he interviewed Dave White, and he was extremely impressed by him.
Yeah.
So that's a name you're going to be hearing a lot of in this governor's race.
Well, Dr. Oz is thinking about running for running for Senator Pat Toomey's seat. Do we want him as our U.S. Senator?
No.
Yeah. I jumped ahead myself because that was one of my seriously comments. But so seriously, we're going to Dr. Oz. And I couldn't find out whether he was Republican or Democrat. I couldn't really find the details of that. So
he's probably going to say he's an independent.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, he's going to run as an independent. Let's talk a little bit about gold. Gold went from $7.93 up to $18.60, so it jumped per ounce. Silver went from $23.91 to $25, and oil went from $78.81 to $80.63 a barrel.
Gas is at $3.65 now for pretty much across the board.
Can you find it? What is it at Sam's Club?
I would say it's probably in the $3.30 area. $3.35.
So a lot of people getting their gas at Sam's.
Yeah, you're going to see some lines at Costco and Sam's Club to save 20 cents.
Yeah, well,
that's
do you blame people?
I do it.
How's your new car coming along? I know you're going to order a new car. Did they get back to you?
No, they didn't get back to me. I had to. The registration opened up on this past Tuesday. I filled out the registration form. You had to send a copy of your driver's license to a email address, and then you had to put down a deposit. And I wired the deposit. So I don't have no clue, but I know they're not taking any more registrations for this car. So, but I don't know. Until I get a registration, then I'll be in the queue. I may not get it. I don't know. So we'll see.
I think you're going to get it.
I think yeah. But when they close out the registration, the pre-orders, that tells you the demand is there.
That's why I think stocks like Ford, GM, are stocks right here where you can buy a clean stock like Ford or GM and do relatively well over the next couple of years.
Well, one of the big news items this past week was the Rivian IPO.
Right, RIVN or is it RVIN? I forget the symbol. It opened at 78 and jumped to 117 immediately.
Rivian, RVEN or something like that. But anyway, they priced the IPO at $78 a share, and it opened up at $106.
Yeah.
So
And I saw it jump even higher
Well-
later in the week.
Amazon owns 20% of Rivian,
Right.
and interestingly enough, Ford owns a 12% stake.
I think they're going to let the stock run up and sell their positions.
Yeah. So, interesting IPO. That's one of the largest ones this year for an EV maker.
They opened up with $60 billion without selling a vehicle. How can that be?
Well, they're bigger than Ford and GM.
Combined. It's like
yeah.
Tesla. I can't get I think Tesla's a good growth stock. There's a lot of volatility to it. And Elon Musk said he was coming out and selling what he wanted. He tweeted what he might sell 10% of his position.
Right. And he did sell $5 billion worth yesterday.
Did he?
Yep.
Yeah. So the stock's all over the place, but it's $1,000 per share. It might go to $1,400, but it might go down to $800 before it goes to $1,400. So there's some volatility in that stock.
Well, they're the leader of the pack, and you got to stay
I
ahead.
see more and more Teslas all the time.
Yeah. Funny, out in Arizona, I didn't see that many.
You didn't?
I did not. No. Yeah.
And you think it's because there's long distance between towns out there, or suburbs, or the traveling
I
that
don't
people
know.
do?
I was just very surprised. Even if you go into Circle K is the sheets out there. I didn't see any charging stations at them.
I dated Linda Sheets. Did you know that? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, and you made a.
Oh, she told me her dad owned a convenience store. This goes back to the 80s. And I thought, I'm not going to work at a convenience store the rest of my life. Little did I know,
Yeah.
they turn out to be a multi-million-dollar.
Who would have thought? Coffee and gas.
She had a pretty nice car, and when we were young, I thought, hey, where'd you get this nice? It was a BMW convertible. She said my dad bought it for me. So he must have been doing well back then.
Well, you got Deborah now.
Oh, yeah. I married a
lucked
woman.
out. Yeah.
I married above
Yeah.
my capacity and married a great woman. There's no doubt about that. So there's not a lot of Catholic news this week, Bruce.
No,
we don't have anything.
Nothing really. The Pope's been pretty quiet in some of his comments, so that's really what we look at sometimes.
Other than the fact that apparently Joe Biden soiled himself when he was at the Vatican.
Yeah, but the only thing on the Catholic news is the Pope. Biden said when he met the Pope that he said he was a good Catholic.
That's not true. I have
Well,
no
now-
doubt that
now,
that
apparently
conversation never
in
took
the
place.
in the Catholic community, they're kind of questioning what's the definition of a good Catholic. Is Biden that what you should be? Or?
The Pope would never come out and say to somebody, "You're a good Catholic." It's just not in his realm.
Yeah.
Anyways, we need to take a break. You have been listening to Investing for Eternity. Go to investingforeternity.net to learn a little bit more about what we do. We'll be right back. We're back. You're listening to WHYF 720 AM, Holy Family Radio, Investing for Eternity. Go to investingforeternity.net. Bruce, we don't talk enough about what you and I do, and Mary Kate's studying to get her securities license. But we are fee-based money managers. That's what we do. We manage money for people. We charge a fee for it, right? Mm-hmm. Our fee is tied to how well the portfolio does. If the portfolio goes up, we make more money. If the portfolio goes down, we make less money. So our income is tied to the advice that we give. A lot of advisors out there charge commissions on what they do, and they're not tied to how well the portfolio does.
Well, they have commissions plus a fee that they charge, or they have the mutual funds, which have the fees inside them that are buried and you don't see,
Right.
in addition to their fee. And they're just basically asset allocators.
Well,
Yeah,
they're truly not. If you go to an advisor and they take your money and put it into a mutual fund, they're not truly managing the money. The mutual fund money manager is managing the money, right? They're just managing. What are you paying them for? To manage the expectations?
What do you need an advisor?
Yeah, just put your money in a mutual fund if you're going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we see that all the time. We're unique. We use individual stocks to build a portfolio.
Well, one of the reasons we use ETFs to some degree, especially with biblically responsible investing. We'll use BLES or BIBL, right?
And RISN.
Right. We'll use different ETFs to make sure that your portfolio is clean, and it's not supporting abortion or homosexuality or pornography or things that hurt the sanctity of marriage or the family. you have to understand that the current investments that you might be invested in, if you're listening to this show, in popular mutual funds, you're profiting from abortion in those things, and you really shouldn't be.
And I
Not
think,
if you're a good Catholic.
yeah. And I think the other thing is that we are fiduciaries.
We're accredited fiduciaries, right? We went to school to become fiduciaries. A lot of advisors call themselves fiduciaries, but they never went to school for it, right?
But portfolios are unique to the client, which I think is important. So we're not model driven and try to force everybody into one particular model. I think that's a big deal. And also, I think the communication, meeting with clients, is a priority for us.
And we have a one-stop shop. We have attorneys that work in our office. We have accountants that work in our office. If you want to get everything done at one location and pull all your assets together, Grandview Asset Management is a great place to do it. And you can go to grandview.com to learn a little bit more about our company. Bruce, in January, we'll be in business 60 years. It's a long time.
That's
That's a long time, right?
Yeah.
We've been around a long time.
And with Mary Kate coming on board,
And Thomas.
your son Thomas, going to be around another 60 years.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they'll be doing it for 60 years, but they'll at least 40.
Yeah, I can come in on my walker just like you guys
Yeah,
will.
yeah. Well, that it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, at least in my career, I got in. There was no exchange traded funds. There was a very few mutual fund families at the time. I was kind of dating myself here. Now things. It'd be interesting to see what happens over the next 5-10 years in the whole way you invest money and what the vehicles are, whether it's individual stocks will still be around.
Well, trillions of dollars have poured out of mutual funds into ETFs,
Oh, yeah.
exchange traded funds, just because of the cost. It's a basket of an exchange traded fund is a basket of stocks, so you're not taking a single stock risk, but the fees internally inside an ETF are generally much lower than they would be in a mutual fund.
Yeah, and we talk when you look at your statement. We use Charles Schwab. You know exactly what you own. I think that's important because you can have 5 mutual funds, think you're diversified, and you're not because they all own.
Well,
the
a lot
same
of times
thing.
when we see people with 5 mutual funds, Bruce, all the mutual funds own the same stocks.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they all own Microsoft. So why not?
Just on Microsoft.
Yeah, just buy Microsoft.
It's that herd. What do you call it? Herd.
Herd immunity, herd mentality.
Herd
mentality.
That's
what
the
it
word
is.
you're looking for.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they copy each other. I think fund managers. Mary Kate owns it. I better have it in my, I think you made a comment, Bill, too, that when you listen to CNBC, they don't talk about mutual funds.
They never talk about mutual
Never
funds.
talk about mutual
The most
funds.
popular show on investing in the United States, maybe in the world, never talks about mutual funds.
Yeah. They'll have fund managers on once in a while,
Yeah,
but
but
then they're talking about the stocks again. So
They're talking about the stocks inside the fund.
Yeah, so we're right back to what we just talked about. Just own the stocks.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you own a stock, Bruce, like Ford or Microsoft, you can know whether it's a clean stock or not. I'm a certified Kingdom advisor. I went to school to give biblical responsible investing. And a lot of people that listen to the show, if they want their Catholic values to be met inside their portfolios, have to use a firm like Grandview to make sure that their portfolio is clean,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that is account minimums. A lot of advisors, $250,000, they don't want to talk to you if you have less than $250,000. Some
Right.
cases it's $500,000.
We don't have account minimums.
No.
No. We're the financial advisors to the bishop. What does that say? It's volumes, right?
Yeah.
Volumes.
Oh, yeah. You mess up, you're going to hell. The pressure's on, Bill.
Yeah, I know. I know. Let's talk about economics and markets. Xi, the Prime Minister of China, says he's ready to work with the U.S. on conditions of mutual respect.
That was the headline. Now he's Z or Z. I always pronounce it.
I say Xi, but
Xi. He's asking Biden to come to the Olympics, the 2022 Winter Olympics. So, but is this a way to open up the discussions with China? Who knows? But mutual respect.
well, it all depends on the price of diapers before he goes over there.
Yeah.
The average interest rate for 30-year fixed rate mortgage decreased from 3.16%. I'm sorry, to 3.16% from 3.24%. Second week for rate drop. So mortgages are dropping.
I thought we had inflation.
Yeah, not mortgages.
Yeah, it's just very odd.
CPI was supposed to be 0.6%. That was the estimate. It ended up being 0.9. Is that
Yeah.
month over month?
That's for October.
That's for the month of October.
Yep, October.
That's pretty hot. 0.9 for 1 month.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which reflects in the year-over-year CPI, which came in at 6.2 versus a 5.9. But that's the highest since December of 1990.
Long time. When were you born, Mary Kate? What year were you born?
99.
So you weren't even born yet. Wow.
But
You guys talk about a lot of things, and I'm like, I wasn't even on the
yeah, they hit that on the headlines a lot. That how hot. You're talking 10 over 30 years ago. That we haven't had this high of a CPI. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be transitory. That's the term they use. Temporary.
Why don't they just use short term rather than transitory? I mean, a lot of people would better understand that they say if inflation rates are going to be short-lived or...
Well, they used to use the term Fed speak. Remember, Greenspan started this. He would play on words. They called it Fed speak.
Okay.
Which means
I do remember that.
Yeah, well, he would make a comment and you go, what? What did you say? So...
Jobless claims were 267,000 versus 260, which is relatively low, right? But, let's talk a little bit about hourly wages going up, but inflation eating right into it, Bruce. So what if you get a raise at work and gasoline goes from, $3.55 a gallon? I think it's going to go to $3.75 before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, Biden is supposed to be working on this whole thing with oil and I don't know, but yeah.
They don't want to, they don't want to build pipelines unless it's for wind. If they build wind farms, they have to tunnel pipes, and that's okay. But they won't do it for oil or gas.
Well, I got to believe this whole climate. You look at the West Virginia to even Pennsylvania, the coal miners. They're not going to be happy campers.
Well, didn't Kerry come out and say that they're going to do away with all gas powered and coal power power plants by 2030?
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible. They're not going nuclear.
No, God, no, that never happened. France is looking at it again.
They're not going to build wind farms.
No. Solar.
Solar doesn't work.
Yeah, it's going to be you still got to turn on your lights. So
it's just a pipe dream. It's all a pipe dream. We were 3 years ago. We were energy independent. We had enough oil and gas to last for 200 years. And now, when this administration took over, now we're back to being we rely on the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And look what's happening in Europe.
Oh,
the price of oil and gas has quadrupled because they're relying on Russia.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing. We rely on the Middle East now for energy.
Russia's going to take advantage of them.
Remember the oil embargo? Remember, you could only get gas on odd and even. Was it odd and even license plates?
Yep. Yeah.
And you waited in line for hours. Some people ran out of gas in the line. Are we going back to those days, Bruce?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope. I don't think we'll see that.
I hope not. There's not a lot of propane and natural gas floating around out there. Biden says he's going to roll out a multi-billion-dollar plan for infrastructure for U.S. ports. Well, here's my question for that, Bruce. Who is he going to hire to rebuild the ports? Right?
Well,
who are they going to hire? Who are they going to? They passed $1.5 trillion worth of infrastructure. Who is going to do the work?
Yeah. Well, he's talking about also the whole thing with supply chain, but if you don't have enough truck drivers to pull it out of the port, it doesn't matter how much you pull off the ship.
Well, what if you don't have enough sand, gravel, asphalt, concrete, steel, all these things that are tight supply right now, and then you don't have the workers to put it together. You remember Obama had shovel-ready jobs, and they passed a multi-billion-dollar package for shovel-ready jobs. Not one penny went towards infrastructure in that bill.
Oh, our infrastructure is no doubt we're way behind.
Well, we need. I'm not saying we don't
yeah,
need infrastructure to rebuild.
Yeah,
I mean the roads in Pennsylvania are horrible.
Oh yeah. But I don't think tolling the 83 bridge is going to do the trick.
Oh, they're going to do it. Believe me, they're going to toll the 83 bridge. That'll happen within the next 3 years, in my opinion. But France is building new nuclear power plants. They'll go nuclear.
Yeah.
But it takes 10 years to build a nuclear power plant.
Yeah. And they've come a long way with the whole science of nuclear and making them safer. But it's just not. It's not the whole concept of not in my backyard. So.
All right, we need to take a break. You've been listening to Holy Family Radio, WHYF 720 AM, Investing for Eternity. Call 717-541-1000 for more information. We'll be right back. We're back. Thank you for tuning in to WHYF 720 AM, Holy Family Radio. You're listening to Investing for Eternity, a show about biblically responsible investing. We talk about the stock market. We talk about the economy. We talk about politics. We talk a little bit about everything. It would be kind of boring, Bruce, if we just talked about stocks the whole show and nothing else, right?
Yeah, but we try to give everyone an idea of what's going on, how it could affect their portfolio, what they need to do, whether it's tax-related or any type of Roth conversions, for example.
That's great. I'm glad you brought that up because it's the end of the year, right? And if you have a traditional IRA, regardless of your age, Bruce, you can do a Roth conversion, right?
Yep.
So you can convert as much from your individual IRA into a Roth IRA, regardless of your age. I just had a gentleman that was in his 70s at one of our workshops ask me afterwards, hey, can I still convert money from my traditional IRA to Roth IRA? And I said, absolutely, even though he was over the age of 72. And Roth conversions are great because you pay the tax on it once and then you never pay tax on it again.
Yep. And this might be a good year to pay the tax.
Well, we're not tax consultants or advisors. We don't give tax advice to people. And before you make any change to your IRA to Roth conversion, you should talk to your person that does your taxes. That being said, because you have to understand what tax bracket you're in, that being said, we understand what the tax rates are for 2021, and we believe they're going up. Now, Biden says he's only going to raise taxes on people making more than $400,000 a year, which is less than 10% of the population. Yeah. So you can't tax 10% of the population to pay for $4 trillion in spending.
Yeah, that math doesn't work.
No, it doesn't add up.
Yeah. Who was it called at Voodoo Economics? Do you remember that back in...
That was me.
Yeah, I don't know if you got it.
I didn't get
Voodoo Economics. I'll have to Google that. But that was a big thing about the numbers were making sense. Somebody said it was Voodoo Economics.
Well, just like he wanted to tax the billionaires. There's only 800 billionaires in the United States. So what if you tax 800 people? You're not raising enough money to pay for $4 trillion worth of spending. And they were talking about raising their taxes by 2%. How is that going to pay for trillions of trillions and trillions? To print $4 trillion will take over 350 years if they wanted just to print the money. Everybody listening to this show will be dead, and they'll still be printing money.
I Googled Voodoo Economics. It was done by the candidate George H.W. Bush to cast doubt on Reagan's economic policies.
Oh. They didn't give me the credit for that?
No. Maybe there's a
George Bush stole it from me.
There might be a footnote in here somewhere, but
yes, I met George W. Maybe that was the meeting we had.
Yeah, you gave him the idea.
I did.
Yeah, there you go. We'll go with that one.
I'm only teasing. Yeah. So GE, what about this, Bruce? GE, they had a 10-for-1 reverse stock split, right? Mm-hmm. So it took the shares from $10 to $100. Which is generally not good for the stock. And then now they're splitting into 3 different companies, aviation, healthcare, energy, and it's going to happen by the early 2023 for healthcare, and energy will happen by early 2024.
2014. 2024.
2024.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I read.
Interesting.
I read,
Interesting concept because you're trying to get value out of the company, and that's the best way to do it is to split it up.
what was Jeff's last name? That was the CEO for a long time. Was it Jeff Immelt?
Jeff Immelt. He was
Immelt.
terrible.
He was horrible. But the board let him get away with stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he came in.
He ran that company into the ground.
Yeah, unfortunately, after Jack Welch, everyone admired Jack Welch and what he did as a company. But yeah, Jeff Immelt just was not the right guy. That was same like with Ballmer at Microsoft. Ballmer ran the company into the ground. He was not innovative. He wasn't moving forward. So here we are, GE. It sounds like the old AT&T split up. With all the baby bells.
Right. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Robinhood announced that they had a security breach.
Yeah.
And the stock dropped a couple of points. And Panera Bread finally going public in a SPAC, via a SPAC.
Who cares? I'm sorry.
I think it's going to do well. I think this.
I know.
I think it'll do well.
It's not one of my top places to go for meals.
Oh,
so
well, Mary Kate, you like Panera.
I do.
Oh,
Are
there
you
you go.
hating on Panera, Bruce?
I know. I like going to Dunkin'. Dunkin' and McDonald's are my favorites.
You can't forget about Starbucks.
A red-blooded American, Bruce.
Yeah.
That's what you are. And it looks like Netflix will bring a second season of their hit Squid Games.
Have you seen that show?
No.
Oh,
No,
man.
I don't watch any.
It is weird.
I don't watch any.
We started watching it out in Arizona because it's a Netflix, obviously done by Netflix. But you get kind of you watch an episode and you want to watch the next one. But they're killing people for this and that, and oh my gosh! So
I'd rather read a book.
yeah, but it is very odd. That's all I'll say. But I'm going back to it. I got to see what happens now.
Oh no! Don't tell
yeah.
me you're
He's
hooked on
hooked.
this crap.
I don't know.
Do you have a Netflix subscription?
No, I use Shelley's.
Okay. And Bentley, the parent company of Volkswagen, is seeing record sales for Bentleys.
I did
They're
not
like
order
two-
a Bentley, by
No,
the way.
no.
So, but
Don't they cost like $250,000 for a car,
oh,
or
yeah.
$400,000 for a car?
yeah, they're like a Rolls Royce equivalent. So they're having record sales. There you go.
Rivian.
Yeah,
I still think their symbol's RVIN.
yeah.
I think that's the symbol. I could be wrong about that. 66 billion right off the bat without selling a. Is it RIVN or RVIN?
Yeah,
You'll look it up. I'm sure you will look it up. I just don't understand how a company can be worth more than Ford right off the day one without selling a car.
yeah. Well, you got two big companies we mentioned earlier in the show, Amazon and Ford, own a third of the company.
Will they sell their shares? That's the key.
Well, that we don't know. The ticker symbol for Rivian is RIVN.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You got it. And that's going to be all over the place. White House says 900,000 kids between the ages of 5 and 11 got the COVID shot the first week.
I was impressed by that number.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I was.
I don't know if I'd get my 5-year-old vaccinated.
Yeah, this is a tough parent decision to.
I guess the whole vaccine mandate, which they kicked out to January the 4th for people that have more than 200 employees, is it going to be OSHA mandated or is it going to be federal government mandated? UPMC right now doesn't have a vaccine mandate, but if the January 4th comes and goes, there are nurses and doctors there that don't want to get vaccinated that will have to get vaccinated. And let me ask you a question. Were you aware of the bridge protests that took place a couple of Mondays ago in New York City?
I was not.
Right? There was a huge, thousands upon thousands of firefighters, police officers, EMTs, took to the streets and shut down the Brooklyn Bridge for many, many hours, causing hours and hours and hours of traffic jam. They blocked the Brooklyn Bridge. It never made ABC, NBC, or CBS News. Now, can you imagine if somebody took to the bridge in Harrisburg and shut it down for 5 hours? Wouldn't that be the number one story on the news?
I would.
And these were people that are anti-vaccine. It doesn't fit the media's motive, So they didn't report on it. There was not one single news story in this. Joe, did you know anything about it?
Not at all.
You didn't hear a thing about
Well, a
it.
lot of them were firefighters, first responders, things like
Police
that.
officers?
Yeah.
The only story they came out with is they said 2,000 firefighters called off in the city of New York, but they could still respond to fires. That was the news story. It wasn't about shutting the bridge down for people that were against the vaccine, because it doesn't fit their agenda. Germany COVID cases topped 50,000 in one day.
They're in trouble. Some of the European countries are not doing well. UK, Europe.
Didn't we just open up international travel
Yes.
in the midst of this?
Yeah. Yep.
Just when they're at the peak.
I will say, going through the airports, everyone wore a mask. There was no incidents. I didn't see anybody, going rogue or anything like that by not wearing one. So,
Well, if you don't wear one, you can't get on a plane.
yeah, and it's also
It's a federal offense, isn't it?
It was a $1,500 fine for the first.
If you're not wearing a mask?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And then they double it to $3,000.
What, if you get caught a second time?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Let's talk a little about earnings. PayPal has been taking it on the chin lately. Revenues fell short the first quarter, forecast below expectations. And on top of it, they come out and they give poor guidance going forward.
Yeah. That's. I
It's
don't.
kind of like a double whammy.
Yeah, it was, and we'll see how they do. Sometimes this is my conspiracy thinking that they're trying to temper the analysts a little bit, bring them down to reality.
Berkshire Hathaway's earnings are up 18% as their cash hits $149 billion in cash.
He has to find something to buy.
He's waiting for the dip.
Yeah, I guess, but it's not. You would think he has a big purchase coming up. I don't know, but $149 billion.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But not in D.C. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what we pay in interest every day.
Yeah.
Coinbase revenues miss. Say they have declining users. So if they're not buying crypto on Coinbase, are they buying it on PayPal? You can't have both.
Yeah, Coinbase is the more popular one for crypto purchases.
Yeah, because you can do Dogecoin, you can
Yeah.
do the smaller
Yeah,
Coinbase.
Yeah. It's not a bad company. Might be a buy on the dip, possibly. I don't know.
Right. Disney, another company, which is not a clean stock. It's not a BRI stock. Revenues miss, and EPS miss as well. And the stock
and
took it on the chin.
All of it was all blamed on the streaming, streaming users.
Right.
Because you have that, it's a huge competition. Roku, Hulu, obviously Netflix. Wow. I mean, so how do you stay atop of your keeping subscribers?
My wife and I watch Longmire on Netflix from time to time. Have you seen that show?
No.
It's kind of like a Western, a guy that's a sheriff out in the West. I think if I had to guess, I'd say it was Texas or Montana.
No.
It's sort of like a modern day Bonanza.
All the women are watching Yellowstone because of Kevin Costner. No.
I don't know who that is. I don't know what Yellowstone
my
is.
gosh.
Beyond Meat stock price drops 20%. EPS and revenue miss.
Yeah. Nobody's eating plant-based burgers.
No, it's going to be a fad like Cabbage Patch Kids. So we need to take a break. You've been listening to WHYF 720 AM, Holy Family Radio, Investing for Eternity. You can reach us at 717-541-1000 for a free portfolio review. We'll be right back. We're back. You're listening to WHYF 720 AM, Holy Family Radio, Investing for Eternity. Bruce, this whole issue of electronic vehicles, or electric vehicles, I should say, it's not going away. EVs, and that's what we call them, EVs, cars that run on electric, either a hybrid, where it's gas and electric, or electric only, it's not going away. I would imagine places like California are eventually going to have rules where you're going to have to buy an EV.
Oh yeah, they did it with small engines for like blowers and things like that. You have to use an electric.
Yeah, but
motor.
that's just the first shot across the bow.
Oh yeah. I think the question: how do you play this electric
Right.
vehicle craze? Do you just buy the electric vehicle companies, or do you buy the suppliers to those companies, or do you invest in the infrastructure? That would be the companies that do the charging stations and things like that, or maybe the disposal of batteries could be a big. So there's a lot of different areas where you can play this investment. So
Well, I think if companies like Ford and GM, they're spending billions of dollars, right, to produce EVs. They're coming up with their own campuses. They're going to manufacture nothing but EV cars. And the way we purchase cars is going back to the way it was back in the 1930s and the 1940s, where you went into a dealership and you would order a car and have it built for you and then pick it up. The days of going to a dealership, Bruce, and having 300 cars on the lot to choose from, those days are over. Manufacturers are not going to spend billions and billions of dollars putting cars on lots only to discount them in September with incentives to get rid of them. They realize now Americans are willing to order, build, and wait for their vehicles. So when you go into a car dealership a year, 2 years, 10 years from now, you're going to see maybe 15, 16 models to choose from. They're going to build your car for you, and you're going to have to wait 2 to 3 months to get it.
well, I do know there's no Bentley dealerships around this area, at least that I haven't seen. Maybe there's one in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But again, where do you play that? The car dealerships to the miners of lithium. I mean, there's a whole and the infrastructure. There's a lot there that.
Well, you have. I think you hit on something here, Bruce. In order for EVs, electric vehicles, to be popular, we need more charging stations, right? Mm-hmm. So, Sheetz, Turkey Hill, places where you normally get gas are going to have to start putting in a lot of electric charging stations.
Yeah.
But do you want to wait? Do Americans want to wait 45 minutes or an hour and a half for their car to get recharged? I don't know. I think a lot of us, I'm a type of person, I like to go in, fill up my gas tank, 5 minutes, and leave. I don't see myself plugging in on my way back from Washington, D.C., or waiting for 45 minutes to plug in for another 45 minutes. I don't see myself doing it.
How do you do it when you have two kids in the back seat and they're booster seats? They're miserable. That'd be a long trip.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What if you have an EV and you're stuck in traffic and you're running out of electric? What do you do?
I read an article where you're supposed to start cutting back. Turn off the air conditioning, turn off this, turn off that, wherever you can. It's like the Apollo 13 thing, the module. So they can only use 10 amps or something like that.
I think in Mary Kate, will you ever buy an EV?
I don't know.
You see your generation buying electric vehicles?
Maybe some other people, yeah. I don't know if I will. It's just easier to pump the gas, and I'll put up with the prices. So, I don't know. Maybe a hybrid.
We don't have to feed a horse, so.
So our stock of the week, based on this conversation, is ALB as a symbol, Apple Larry Boy, Albemarle. It's currently trading at $267 a share. The 52-week range was 116 at the low. The high was 282. It has a small yield to it, which is surprising.
Yes.
It has a 0.59% yield to it. And they are one of the largest manufacturers of lithium batteries.
Yeah, and if you look at their profile, it's hard to even understand what they do.
They make the lithium batteries. They make chemicals.
And bromine specialties and catalysts, and they do everything that go into vitamins to pharmaceutical. So it's not just car batteries. They're across the board in a lot of the minerals that they use. Lithium obviously is going to be the big thing, unless there's another replacement for lithium.
Well, I think they're talking about a phosphorus lithium battery.
Yeah.
Which has a problem holding a charge when it's cold, but apparently has a much longer distance. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, but the word phosphorus just scares the heck out of me. Isn't that in dynamite?
Well,
I mean,
gasoline.
phosphorus,
I mean,
it
gasoline.
burns. It burns. I mean, it's a high flammable.
Well, so does gasoline.
Yeah, I'm not a chemist. I remember I never liked chemistry.
Right.
so
You didn't know what a mole was.
I still can't do it. Damn. Yeah. Physics, okay. I'm okay with physics.
Well, you were an engineer by trade,
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
and you taught. You got your master's degree, and you taught at Lebanon Valley, right?
Yeah. So, I took a right turn along the way. So.
You ended up. Now, how many years you have? Your birthday's coming up.
Yes.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, on Sunday.
Yeah, you're going to be.
60.
That-
And for my birthday, I'm getting my booster shot. How's that?
Start counting backwards.
Yeah. So for my birthday, I'm getting a booster shot.
Yeah, but you look like you're in your 50s. If I had to
That's right.
guess, if I saw you on the street, I would guess you're 51 or 52 years old.
Oh, thank you. I still have my hair. I don't know how.
Did your dad have a full head of hair?
He was balding. The patches along
Right.
the top, and but it was pretty thin and balding.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how I got the full. I still have my hair. It's gray/white.
It's there though.
Huh? It's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Let's talk a little bit about earnings calendar.
That's Mary Kate.
Mary Kate,
This is-
you're up to bat.
It is my time to shine.
Yeah.
Right.
On Monday the 15th is Tyson Foods.
We'll see if we have enough chickens out there.
Yeah,
Mike-
chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
My kids eat chicken nuggets almost every day. Liam.
Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to see what they say about price increases if they're able to pass on.
Of course they're going to raise prices.
Yeah.
Tuesday the 16th is Home Depot, Lazy Boy, and Walmart.
Oh, the big boys.
Home Depot and Walmart are going to raise their prices as well.
And all they do, especially Walmart, is squeeze their
Suppliers. Now the suppliers can squeeze back a little bit, saying, listen, we're going to control the price, don't you think?
I think they'll try, but Walmart, if they have an alternative, they'll go someplace else. They're tough to negotiate. We hear that all the time with even our clients.
Well,
that do-
even Lazy Boy, they can name the price. Everybody, we had to wait almost 8 months to get our Lazy Boy furniture. 8 months, because it was coming from, I think, Vietnam, of all places. And, and this is before they had the debacle with the cargo ships. It must take a year now to get your furniture.
It's amazing.
Wednesday the 17th is Bath & Body Works, Cisco Systems, Lowe's, NVIDIA, Target, and TJX companies.
TJ Maxx reports on Wednesday.
Yep.
I think the big number there on Wednesday, the 17th, is going to be NVIDIA.
Yep. That's a chip maker.
That went from $200 to $300 a
Yeah.
share in the last month.
Yeah, it was one of our good stock holdings in our portfolios.
Oh, yeah. We have quite a bit of it.
Yeah. But even Lowe's, same with Home Depot. Is it the do-yourselfers gone away with COVID now dissipating? We'll find out. Target, TJX is very popular with women. I know my girlfriend's always at Marshall's or TJ Maxx.
I love TJ Maxx. The new one at the end of Hummelstown next to Planet Fitness. That's a good one.
Yeah, she likes that one.
I like it in there. Thursday the 18th is Applied Materials, Macy's, Kohl's, and Palo Alto Networks.
I think Palo Alto Networks is a quiet brother or sister to CrowdStrike for ransomware. I think they're going to have a good quarter.
Yeah, you don't hear that company too often.
No, but I think it's not a bad place to be.
And Macy's, they better be doing well online because I don't know who goes to the stores. Kohl's, I'm not a shopper of Kohl's, but so we have a lot. It's all about retail next week, obviously from what.
What are they doing with the Harrisburg East Mall? Does anybody know? I know that I saw they put in a used clothing store where you pay like $45 and you can fill a bag of $45 worth of clothes.
I mean, the anchor there is Bass Pro, so that's the main thing. But
Yeah, but
I have.
I
no
haven't
idea
been in there.
I have not been in there. I couldn't tell. I think,
It's the same with the Colonial Park Mall.
yeah. We used to go there all the time to see Santa Claus. Take the kids there and up to Colonial Park Mall. There's Santa Claus.
Those days are over.
Yeah.
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 I used to go to Park City to see Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Friday the 19th is just Foot Locker.
Yeah. Getting $100 sneakers.
Not me.
Not me. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the economic calendar. On Monday, the 15th, we have the Empire State Manufacturing. Tuesday, the 16th, we have retail sales. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, especially with all these earnings coming out.
Right.
So we'll see how if they tie together or reflect each other.
Wednesday, housing starts, which is going to be a huge number. I think housing has slowed down a little bit, don't you?
I think so. I haven't seen too many in my neighborhood go up for sale recently.
Right. I think it's starting to cool off.
Was interested in one that did sell in my neighborhood. Immediately, the for rent sign came up.
Yeah. If you're listening to the show and you think you're going to retire and downsize and save yourself money, you won't. When you retire and you downsize, your new home will cost probably 25% more than a home you sold, and you'll have a mortgage. Thursday's initial claims.
Yeah, that's
Jobless
every
claims.
week. Yeah.
That's every week. So that's going to be pretty important. One thing, a note for everybody, Bruce, is on your bank accounts, whether you have CDs or checking or money market or savings account, you can make them a transfer on death account. It's called a TOD, and you can put beneficiaries on your bank accounts so that at the time of your death, it goes directly to your beneficiaries without going through probate. And a lot of people don't know that.
I was amazed at our workshop when you brought that up, and all the people in there just looked at you like, "What?"
Yeah. Most people don't know about it.
Yeah, and I think if there's one takeaway from the workshop, which was about the principles of retirement, I think a lot of them next day will probably go out doing TODs on their checking and bank accounts, and brokerage accounts.
Yeah,
I was really surprised. Right. It was just like a dead stare there. Like,
yeah, and a lot of people don't know that their beneficiaries supersede their will. So it doesn't matter if you have a beneficiary on your IRA and you only have one child as opposed to three of your children, only the one child will get the money. So the beneficiaries need to be correct on your IRAs and your 401ks, your 403bs, your TSPs, whatever you might have. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to WHYF 728 AM, Holy Family Radio. You can go to grandview.com to learn a little bit more about us, or go to investingforeternity.net. Have a great weekend. May God give you peace, wisdom, and joy. I will keep you in my rosary for whatever you're struggling with. Pick up the phone this weekend, call somebody, text them, tell them you love them, you're proud of them. It'll make their day and your day as well. We'll be back next week. Thank you.